to Garden Style. Well, here we are. It is the month of September. This summer has gone by so fast, I can't even believe it. So I'm recording this on Labor Day, and it is a very hot, sultry day here in the state of Washington. It's going to hit 95, and the humidity is pretty high today, so might be looking a little shiny on the video today because it is very warm. So it is already time to start thinking about fall. And the very first thing I think of when I get to the month of September is it's time to tidy up. Time to tidy up and clean up the gardens and start preparing for fall. So I thought I'd go over a list of things with you guys that we can all get started on during this month of September. Now, of course, the first couple of weeks in September, I fully expect our temperatures to stay in the 80s and the 90s. So a lot of the things on this list that I'm about to mention to you, of course, all depends on where you live and where your temps are currently. This is when we really start to watch the weather and we start to watch the temperatures at night. So for these first couple of weeks, there won't be a lot that I can do as far as planting and transplanting, which are some of the things I'll be going over here in this list. But there's definitely a lot for me to do when it comes to trimming perennials, shrubs, trees, and just start the actual cleanup for fall. So let's get started. So the very first thing we want to start doing, of course, is trimming all of our perennials and shrubs that are done blooming, when they're just done for the year. It's a good time to start trimming off all the old stems, all the old flowers. I happen to have some shrubs who just kind of bolted out some strange looking limbs, so they look all out of proportion. So I'm going to start trimming them and getting them shaped again before we go into fall. And this includes any of your evergreens as well as your deciduous type of shrubs. The other thing you can do is prune your roses. During the first 2 weeks in September is the perfect time to start trimming your roses for one last flush during fall. And I would also give them one last feeding, as they are still using a lot of energy to produce those blooms for you. So one last feeding going into fall will certainly get them off to a good start before they start to go dormant during the month of October and November. Now, roses will let you know when they're ready to go dormant. So that's why I'm telling you to start pruning them during the first couple of weeks of September, because after that, they're going to give you one last flush of bloom and then you just leave them alone. Do not trim your rose bushes after September. Let them go dormant. It's healthier for them. They won't be creating any more new growth that can possibly get zapped during October and November as our temperatures start to drop at night and actually we start to see our first frost. I'm actually kind of sort of looking forward to that. During the month of September, I think we're all a little tired, and so are our plants. It's been a very long, hot summer for us here in the state of Washington. In fact, we haven't seen a lick of rain since the month of June. So it's been a lot of watering and a lot of chasing as far as the last 3 or 4 months go. It's just been really, really dry, drier than normal. So we're still chasing that. We're still trying to keep our plants hydrated. But I'm also in that mindset where it's time to start thinking about colder temperatures. And I get a little sad and a little glad at this time of the year. I'm a little sad because the excitement that we all experience during springtime is starting to wane. But a new type of excitement starts to replace that, and that is we're finally going to start to see a little bit of a rest here in the next couple of months as the plants start to slow down, and so do we as our days start to get darker. So prune your roses and feed them one last time. Now, of course, I am harvesting vegetables like crazy. Even though I planted my veggie bed really late, it didn't get planted until the beginning of July, I am harvesting beans and tomatoes and squash. So, of course, we're all very busy doing that. And I have a feeling in a couple of weeks here, I'm waiting for the apples to ripen. And you will know they're ready to pick as soon as you bend them from the branch and they just break off. Then you know it's about time to start harvesting your apples and pears for that matter. So fruits and veggies, this is definitely the harvest time of the year. And we're also going into our harvest moon on the 6th, this coming week. And harvest moon, as most people know, if you're a gardener, farmers used to use the harvest moon to be harvesting at night. They were very busy just trying to get all their crops harvested before the first frost. So that's where the harvest moon got its name from. And here it is already during the month of September. Okay, this is also a good time to start freshening up any of your containers. I have a lot of containers here with annuals in them, and some of them are starting to look pretty tired and pretty worn out. And so I start pulling them out. I don't bother trimming them anymore because I know their last days are coming. And I'm actually psyching up to start replacing them with fall flowers, things like mums and pansies, violas, heucheras, grasses. And I will definitely be setting up a video or two after this one showing you what I do to freshen up and redesign a lot of my containers that have lots of annuals in them. Just to freshen them up and give them a nice crispy look going into fall. Also, any kind of plants that you may have, like trees, shrubs, and perennials that you currently have in pots that you know may be outgrowing them, or you're planning to move them into the garden, this is the time to do it. Now, if it's 80 and 90 degrees out still in your area, then by all means wait until the temperatures get back into the 70s and the 60s. And that's a perfect time to start pulling those things out of their pots and finding good homes for them out in the garden. What I also do is I'm starting to make a plan. September is all about planning while you're in the garden. Is I take pictures of areas that have bare spots or places where I know I need filler plants or need to move plants. And I will mark those bare spots with a stake. So if I don't plan on planting those areas right now during the fall, that stake will tell me what it is I'm going to plant in that area by next spring. And that stake will be sitting there by next spring, and I go, aha, I need a fern, or I need something to plant in this bare spot now that everything else has died off. Okay, also, this is a fabulous time to go and visit your nurseries. Your nurseries are looking to get rid of their inventory, so a lot of them have a lot of their trees and shrubs and perennials at really good deals, really good prices. And that's exactly what I'll be doing tomorrow. So I'm going to go visit the nursery and start picking up some evergreens and shrubs that I have bare spots for, or things that I just never got around to in the spring. The fall is probably the best time to be planting any type of foundational plants like your evergreen shrubs and trees, as well as any deciduous shrubs that you would like to see put into a big bare area out in the garden, or you're looking to start a new garden. This is the perfect time of the year to start putting in your foundational plants so they're all established and ready to go by spring, and you can start filling in next spring with your perennials and your annuals to create that gorgeous garden that you've always dreamed of. So this is the time of the year to start doing those kinds of things. Now, later in September, like the last couple of weeks of September, usually by then we're starting to see much cooler temperatures. We're definitely celebrating the first day of fall on the 21st. It's our fall equinox, so we have equal days, equal nights. And as our nights start to get longer than our days, and we're seeing it very quickly here in the state of Washington. In fact, because I live so far north here in the United States, we're actually losing 3 to 4 minutes a day of daylight. So it really starts to speed up for us here. And then before we know it, we're going to see a lot of darkness. So by September 15th, the bells go off, and I think, okay, time to get busy and get roaring. And usually by then the temperatures are cooler, and it makes it much more pleasant to be working out in the yard than it is today, on a hot, sultry day like today. By then it's much cooler, and it's just perfect weather to start getting out and cleaning up and start transplanting and just really get busy and get as much done as you can before we see that very first deadly frost. Alright, so anyway, later in September is a great time to start planting any garlic sets. So if you want to plant garlic in the garden, your nurseries will have them in by then. They will also start receiving in their spring bulbs. And if you don't go to your nursery for your bulbs, go online and start ordering your bulbs now. Anything that are like your tulips, daffodils, hyacinths, alliums, any of those spring blooming bulbs, this is the time of the year to start ordering them so that you can have them in by the end of September, beginning of October. It's the perfect time to start planting them. And I will also be showing you how to create a layered pot of spring bulbs so that you can get it planted here in the fall, and then by next spring you will just be rewarded with the most beautiful potted bulbs you have ever seen in your life. And I do about 4 or 5 layers in my pots. You can have tulips, daffodils, hyacinths, alliums, and they all have their own timing as to when they come up in the pots. And I will show you how to plant those and layer them so that you can enjoy just a succession of blooms for about 5 to 6 weeks in the very early spring, when we so desperately need a little bit of color after a long winter. So that'll be a fun one for me to show you how to do. Also, this is the perfect time of the year, towards the latter part of September, to feed your lawn one last time before winter. And you want to put a winter fertilizer on your grasses that will help them with their root growth and also help sustain any type of weed growth. You have like pre-emergents that are put into a lot of your lawn fertilizers that will keep weeds from coming up in the spring. And here in the Northwest, I usually pick a fertilizer that will help neutralize the acid in the soil, which in turn will keep a lot of moss from coming up in my lawn the following spring. So it just depends on where you live. But a nice winterizer fertilizer is a great thing to put on your lawn. Now, if you're planning on reseeding or planting a new lawn, then I wouldn't fertilize just yet. Get your seed in first, get it to come up, and then you could put in, a lighter fertilizer on top that will help all of that new grass get really good root growth going and really get established, so that by next spring you will be the envy of the neighborhood with the greenest lawn ever in the neighborhood. So fertilizer and reseeding in the fall will do nothing but reward you the following spring. As in the wintertime, that's when your grasses start to really establish their roots and really get into the ground, as they're seeing much cooler temperatures, and it's just easier for your grass to take at that point. So lots and lots and lots to do during the month of September. As soon as we can get this weather to cool off for us here in Washington, I can really get going and get started. Now, you can also plant late season vegetables, like your cool season vegetables, like lettuce, radishes, spinach, rutabagas, any of your cool season veggie crops. Perfect time to start putting them in the ground and get them going so that you get one last harvest before winter. So I can get excited again because it's getting towards that time where we can start planting again and not have to keep babysitting our plants or worrying about them because of the lack of rain. Hopefully, if Mother Nature cooperates. And towards the end of September, if you live in a really cold climate, that is the time to start raking up all the debris that is in your yard and mulching all your beds. So those plants that are a little more tender than others, this is the perfect time to start mulching all those beds. Put in an extra 2 or 3 inches of mulch around the bases of all your plants to keep them protected during the wintertime. And they will definitely appreciate you for it. So, kind of sad, kind of glad at this time of the year. Kind of sad to see everybody starting to slow down out here in the garden, but kind of glad that I can get a little bit of a break and some cooler temperatures so that I can enjoy getting out in the garden without sweating to death during the day. Also, I almost forgot. Here in the next couple of weeks, it's a good time to lower your mower height when you go to mow your lawn. You can start to gradually lower the height inch by inch as we start moving into October. I still have mine raised up to 4 inches just due to the fact that it's so dry right now, and it's much healthier for your grass to stay long during the hot, dry summers. But as we go into September or October, you can start lowering the height of your mower, which will also help rain and fertilizer get down into the roots even quicker during the fall months. Alright, you guys, so there's some quick tips. Time to tidy up and start thinking about fall. And I have so many cool projects for us over the next few videos. Can't wait to teach you how to do some of these things. So I'm really looking forward to it. For those of you who are new subscribers, I just want to thank all of you for signing up and joining us here at Garden Style. We have a lot of education we're still going through for September, October, November, and some really neat Christmas crafty things that we'll be doing in December. I appreciate all your comments, truly appreciate it. You guys have just been fabulous. And of course, if you have any questions or any comments you want to leave, there's plenty of room in the description box down below. And if you want to continue to get updates as we start going into the fall, by all means hit subscribe. You can also get a hold of me at GardnStyleNW.com on my website, or you can send me an email at GardnStyleNwest@gmail.com. Meanwhile, I hope all of you stay cool if you're living in a hot area like I am right now. And time to psych up. I'm going to be breaking out the bulk catalogs and starting to get some things on order. Meanwhile, all you guys, keep your hands dirty, and I hope to keep you inspired over the next 6 weeks. Bye for now.